This crazy day was coming to its end. Seemed like things weren't going too badly. I had made a grave mistake, and everything seemed to be fine with Himitsu. Does it? Could life be starting to get better? No. Something tells me it's only going downhill from here, bud. But I still hadn't sorted out my feelings. Why not? Why not, bud? Why not, pal? Why not? Why are we still uncertain? Katya let me know today that she still cared for me. She'll let you know that she wants to f*** you. I know that's not the point of it at all, but like, I don't know. I didn't get that message that she still cared for me. I get the message that, yo, okay, maybe kind of, but I didn't really get the feeling it's like, oh hey, is there still something there? It was more like, hey, I left, but I had my reasons for it, alright? I don't know. I guess, I don't know. It's just a fucked situation. Everything's fucked. Everything's just fucked. Fuck. At least more than she was trying to show. I don't know, she showed a lot. Most probably there was something I still didn't know. Oh, you don't say. What about Himitsu? Yeah, let's talk about Himitsu. I had absolutely no idea how to act around her anymore. One day she would get tired of pretending everything was fine. Because things weren't fine for her, right? I wasn't even so sure anymore. She and Catherine had been fighting just recently, but today, Himitsu could hold herself back in my presence, but what if things weren't at all how they seemed? They're not. It's pretty obvious that once you turn away, Himitsu becomes a much different person. When you're not looking, like, oh, the beast comes out. Suddenly I started to feel a strong headache. I went to the cupboard to look for aspirin, happened across my father's old bottle of whiskey. There wasn't really any reason to drink today. Aspirin helped a bit, but blood kept throbbing in my ears. Sometimes life gives you another chance. This day could have gotten much worse. I don't know, man. I don't know. Could it have? What is today? September 12th? What was going on September 12th at Kagome's route? Like, yeah, I'm sure things were worse in a sense. Like, right now you're not stuck in like a life and death kind of thing. Sure. But, I don't know, man. This day was pretty fucked. Careful, Nikolai, you've been warned. Were you to leave the situation unresolved, you'd suffer until the end of your days. I'm going totally nuts. Yeah, I feel that. I grinned and went to sleep. Right after I opened my eyes, the pulsating headache returned. Okay, so normally I don't acknowledge when I take a break, right? Normally I take a break about halfway through my recording session. About half hour, get a snack, something to drink, and all that good stuff. So, you know, I'm coming back. I'm nice and relaxed. Yo. I got a little bit of food in me. I'm feeling good, you know? The reason I'm acknowledging it now is because I'm just curious. I wonder how long it's going to take for me to get pissed again. Because you know it's going to happen. You know it's unavoidable that this route is going to anger me. Leave me frustrated, to say the least. So I'm pointing it out now because I want to see. After giving myself like a nice half hour to calm down, how quickly can I get pissed off again? Let's find out, shall we? Felt like I hadn't slept at all. Dark dreams born by my inflamed consciousness had kept me from getting any rest. I would wake up and fall asleep so fast that I couldn't tell dreams from reality. It was still quite early for a Sunday morning, but my headache only got worse as I lay in bed. I got up and walked around the room, stretching with delight. The meager breakfast reminded me how much I missed Himitsu on days like this. Truly, it's easy to get used to something good, stop noticing it, and end up not appreciating it at all. Suddenly someone knocked on my door and I could hear a voice coming from outside. Oh no. Nika-kun? Oh, thank God. I was like, oh, it's about to go 0 to 100 real quick. Now that was unexpected. I dashed to the hall. Hi. Himitsu was shifting from one foot to another, as if she couldn't bring herself to step in. I thought you were going to clean your house today.
Yes, I am.
Well, come on in.
I just came for a minute.
I looked at her questioningly.
Although, alright.
Himitsu smiled and stepped in.
Yeah.
Oh, now she's serious.
What's this?
Himitsu gave the remains of my breakfast a rather displeased look.
Let me make something quick for you.
No need, I've eaten already. It was as if yesterday had never happened. I felt uncomfortable standing next to her, felt an urgent need to explain myself, but was too scared to start the conversation all over again.
Fine, then I'll make dinner and you can heat it up later.
What about your cleanup?
Cooking won't take long.
Sunshine, enough. I didn't mean to call her that. It was a habit. Himitsu looked at me with uncomprehendingly. Don't think that's how that's supposed to be phrased. Himitsu looked at me uncomprehendingly and quietly sat down on the chair, letting her arms drop impotently. Find some time for yourself. Not that you can call cleaning that, but still. I guess I should have stayed silent.
If I didn't have things to do, I'd spend all my time for myself with you.
She smiled. Her smile, sincere and even childlike, naive, gave me a determination. Don't you feel bored with me?
I got used to it.
Ugh. God, I love that smirk. Not a good thing to get used to. I laughed, but Himitsu didn't bat an eye. Some people get rid of bad habits.
Like who?
Well, not me, that's for sure. If I started it. Don't mind Katya. Yesterday turned out stupid. You can only imagine what I'd think in your place, but everything's fine.
What would you think in my place?
Himitsu never looked away from my face, but appeared absolutely calm. Actually, anything. I let out an idiotic laugh. What if she came to murder me?
I wouldn't even be surprised.
Are you serious?
Let's change the topic.
Himitsu fluttered up and went out into the garden.
What wonderful weather.
Yeah, we can go out, but you still have cleaning to do.
It's okay. We can go out another time. And then I'll get back to cleaning and you to your homework. You did start your homework, right? And don't forget to eat dinner.
Yes, Mom. I let out a sad sigh when the front door closed behind her. It had gone alright, even better than I could have expected. So had nothing changed between me and Himitsu? And what about Catherine? What about Catherine, Nikolai? What about her? What does she have to do with this current situation? I understand, a lot happened yesterday and you're still recovering from everything. You still don't quite know how you're feeling. But why, after Himitsu was just here and y'all had a nice little conversation, are you going, what about Catherine? Nikolai, I'm gonna need you to stop that shit. You never managed to have a proper talk the day before. Yeah, I know, y'all shouted at each other, then she jumped on you and tried to fuck you. Actually, I wasn't even sure if that's what she had come for. A scary thought crossed my mind. What if she did it on purpose? What if? What if? Homie, she absolutely did it on purpose. Homie, you underestimate Catherine severely. Oh yeah, no, she did it on purpose. 100%. What if she was leading me on, hoping that Himitsu would catch us? I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it for a second. If she wanted to take revenge on me, fine, but why drag Himitsu into it? Because she's afraid that Himitsu stole her man while she was away. I started walking around the kitchen, hoping to calm down. Yeah, I was hoping to calm down. Then I started playing again. Catherine had just returned to Japan, to my school. She was back for vengeance. God, now this was paranoia. Even if she disliked me that much and I'd somehow offended her, that was no reason to behave like this. It was Katya after all. I knew her too well, or at least I wanted to think I did. Why not just ask her? That was simple. I dithered at the phone, staring at the piece of paper with the captivating numbers written on it. Sure, I didn't have Catherine's new number and couldn't call her, but I also desperately wanted to finish yesterday's conversation. Hey, so about those tits. To set the record straight once and for all. That's not how things go, is it? The phone suddenly rang on its own, and after a long time staring at the shrieking machine, I finally picked up the receiver. Hello? I didn't say a word. Hello? Catherine repeated with discontent clear in her voice. Life's surprises aren't always unpleasant. Yes. Well, hi, she said calmly. How do you know this number? Did you really have it written somewhere? I did, Sherlock. How are you doing? I'm fine. I didn't know what to say to her over the phone. Look, do you have any plans for today? Why? Do you have a proposal? Oh yeah, I thought we could meet. Why? Honestly, I feel like we didn't really finish our conversation yesterday. Is that so? Alright, fine. See you in the city center at 2, and don't be late. Okay. I didn't have time to finish. She hung up the phone. Well, it could be worse. Catherine had agreed too easily, even. Yeah, It probably took me too long to get ready. I spent an hour deciding on what I was going to wear. Then I took a shower, shaved, combed my hair. Seriously, was I going to a meeting or a date? On Sundays, people in Tokyo tend to move slower than usual. Not only because they don't need to go to work. Recreation is a ritual. They spend 5 or 6 days a week courting their clients, and they expect to be courted by waiters, shop assistants, administrators, actors, and singers. It is extremely important to show your status as someone who's earned the right to respect polite treatment through hard work. Sunday is the day when the man in the gray suit does not stand below anyone else, when he is their lord. Another thing, young people, strutting around in colorful outfits and pretending to be social rebels. They feel superior to those hidebound retrogrades, having a couple years to spare before they start molting, shedding bright feathers and growing protective gray fur for the long summer of life. Observing all the different characters of Japan's capital distracted me from thoughts of Catherine, so I managed to get to the meeting spot pretty quickly. This is a new background. The clock in the shop window across the street indicated that there was still half an hour left. Tick-tock, tick-tock. I'd almost had enough of this. Catherine was just about half an hour late. Japanese people usually agree to meet at all the same places, near stations, at fountains, on squares, and at monuments. Why this shop then? Because this was the place where we had our first kiss. Just like that, on a busy street in the afternoon, without shame, in front of everyone. Maybe it wasn't the most romantic place. I couldn't wait anymore, and she didn't seem to mind. But it all happened so long ago, as if it was in a previous life. And now I was standing here, losing the last remnants of my self-respect, waiting for who knows what. Sorry. I turned to see Catherine standing in front of me. It was strange that she'd appeared from that side. I thought you'd come from there. I waved my hand in the direction where our house used to be. I don't need to take the subway anymore. Mills calculated the time a little. Stellar logic. Yeah, sure. The ones who comes late to school always live closest to it. A little? I've already stopped waiting for you. Then what are you doing here? She smiled. Quite genuinely, as it seemed. Must be a habit, too. Alright, let's walk. I can see the owner of that shop giving me suspicious looks. Of course, Katya knew what shop it was when she decided on the meeting point, but my words still made her blush and quickly lower her head. Oh. The music switch up. For a while, we walked in silence. To be honest, I don't even know where to start. Let's just not start this all over again for the 100th time, alright? I think we've already figured out who returned to where and why. Okay. We have. I mumbled limply. I really don't have the strength to go over this again. Honestly, I just have no idea what else we should talk about. Let's enjoy the silence then. Do you need company for that? Well, we could also chat. My Japanese is a little rusty. Do you really need it though? In a year you'll be studying in a college in the States. Who knows? She replied wistfully. There's no way you want to stay here. And you? Do I have a choice? There's always a choice. But most people simply don't see it. That's easy to say in your position. It is. One thing I always liked about Katya was her sincerity. Not honesty, no. She kept a lot to herself, even hid things. She was never overly polite and refused to adjust herself to others. She would disagree with, or even offend older people if they were wrong. Never idolized anyone remotely successful, as was common here. She always had that inner strength, and to be honest, I often felt a little intimidated around her, knowing that she was a stronger person than I. That had been the case back then. Now she appeared to just be arrogant, petulant, bad-mannered girl who toyed with me, fully aware of my feelings. So what are your plans for the future? Same as before? Exactly the same as before. Nothing. What would Himitsu say about that? Do you care? Suddenly Catherine stopped and looked at me intently. Do you still not know anything? No what? I felt uneasy, as if I was missing some vital detail. I don't want people to think I'm at fault here, that I'm interfering in your life or relationships. The thought alone makes me feel gross, like I care. This sort of thing was typical for Catherine. She was always overly obsessed with how she appeared to other people. Just imagining it. Catherine clenched her teeth angrily. Nobody's accusing you of anything. Just put yourself in my shoes. Seems to be too much of a coincidence. Coincidence is a good way to put it. There's nothing more to it than that. We can forget all this and move on, I said unexpectedly, even to myself, and stopped. Forget? She asked, startled. Well, yes, it's the best option. Nobody's at fault. Yes, things just happened. Things happened. And in the end, yeah. That was the fastest, most ridiculous ending to any war in history. We achieved peace by destroying the population of both countries. That's why you decided to meet here, right? Catherine didn't reply, didn't even give me a look. All he said was in the city center, and I came here. Because this is the most convenient spot. Not too far from my place or yours. Well, it was definitely just a coincidence, nothing more than that. Here you go again. She let out a sigh. Just getting a little nostalgic, I beg your pardon. I'm not going to shame you for that. Catherine pretended to look at something on the other side of the street to hide her embarrassment. That's something. You can't shame a person for their memories. It's a bad idea to point fingers to begin with. You have to start with yourself. Is that a statement or advice? Both, I guess. She paid zero attention to the obvious ambiguity of my words. Remember when you ditched a class because you had a fight with our English teacher? Yeah, he was wrong and I pointed out his mistake. In Japan, being older is more important than being right. Catherine laughed quietly. And then you followed me. Of course I did. Class was boring anyway. I wanted to get to know you better. I guess you're not happy you know me now. Himitsu isn't, for sure. My entire life doesn't revolve around her, you know? Don't take that as an accusation. Quite the opposite. What about you? Is there a dashing cowboy waiting for you in the U.S.? This joke fell flat. She didn't respond right away. No. Sorry, it's none of my business. I wasn't looking for one. I told you, it's none of my business. So you're not interested at all. Gatu finally stopped and gave me a curious look. I don't know how to respond to that. Relax, it was a joke. You and your jokes. By the way, do you want to drop by? Catherine pointed at a building entrance next to us. Do you live here now? What's this? It's more convenient than before, isn't it? Yeah, closer to our school. Won't your mother mind me coming in? She's at work. Ah, is that so? I have a feeling you're misinterpreting the situation. Can't imagine how else I could interpret it. Okay, once again, I just don't want to be considered. I'm just being polite. It's Japanese hospitality. Yeah, you and I are very Japanese. Catherine smiled slightly, which somewhat calmed me down. Maybe it was time to stop pretending she was Hitler. No. She must have felt somewhat guilty as well. Alright, let's go. Catherine lived in a pretty large apartment. A place that spacious in the middle of Tokyo could only be afforded by very wealthy people. Or high-ranking diplomats. Not that the Winters family had much to complain about even in the past. They used to live in a decent multi-family housing block, although not in the most prestigious of districts. Did that mean that her mother had been promoted? Sit down already, Catherine said, clearly displeased by me studying her guest room for far too long. Everything looks so European. Do you find it weird? Not really. Do you want some coffee? Tea? I still couldn't figure out why Catherine had invited me here in the first place. No, thank you. Stop acting like you're being interrogated. She smiled. You would make a good policewoman. Noted, thanks. So what did you want to talk about? We should have talked right away. I guess you're right about that. I remained silent, afraid to interrupt when she was speaking so candidly. Besides, I don't want you to think I did something wrong. I don't want anyone to think that. Because I didn't. She gave me a furious look, as if I was objecting. Kyosuke must have already told everyone at school. Come on, he wouldn't. Of course he did. But then why would she transfer to our school at all? I couldn't ask that question right now, as much as I wanted to. You're a terrible liar. I didn't feel like the first time someone told me as much. Terrible, because you usually have nothing to lie about. Because nothing happens in my life. Isn't that true? Do you want to teach me, or... Kachi stood at the side of the room, looking out the window with a sad expression, her arms folded over her chest. I'm not rushing you, just put yourself in my shoes. I can't. Not because I don't want to, I simply can't. I don't know your situation. She smiled slightly and shifted her gaze to me. You think I'm such a bitch, don't you? I don't. Sometimes very often, I don't really understand you. Neither do I. I don't know what'll happen next. You think I have it easy. But you're responsible for your own life. Nobody can take you halfway around the world like a piece of luggage just because that's the job. I know you don't like it here. Don't like it? Catherine smirked bitterly. I have maybe one good memory of this country. What is it? Suddenly her expression changed. Maybe you'd still like some tea? Well, Alright. Refusing twice would have just been impolite. Katya quickly walked to the kitchen, leaving me alone in the living room. What was she talking about? It seemed I was beginning to understand why she had invited me here, but was too afraid to admit it to even myself, so as to not be even more disappointed afterward. She would come back with hot tea in hand, cold and arrogant once again. I would only be able to think about how the two of us were about to make up. Maybe she simply didn't know what she wanted. I stood up and walked around the room. It was spotless, though not really that big. A phone hung on the wall, and a small piece of paper with a telephone number was stuck to it. I guess she hadn't memorized this number yet. I quickly grabbed a pen from the table and wrote the number on my hand. Catherine kept the place tidy, only a few notebooks carelessly scattered on the table, standing out of the general picture. I picked up one of them and flipped through it. Modern Japanese language. For a hard-working student with far-reaching plans to enroll in a prestigious college, she made too many mistakes, although I doubted she would need Japanese in the U.S. I looked more carefully. The way she wrote some kanji looked familiar to me. Was Katya's handwriting similar to Kyosuke's? No, not really. It was too even. I started to turn over the pages feverishly, looking for certain words. You, grave, people. Kanji and hiragana on the pages before me started to form sentences. Nikolai-san, be careful. You are in grave danger. Certainly very powerful people linked to your father are after you. This is not a prank or a hoax. Okay. I'm like, I'm not going to go looking for answers, so things are going to get intense. And then Catherine's just like, I'll go get some tea. You have a look around. You are in danger. No doubt about it, that note was written in the same handwriting. The notebook's... Oh. He's seeing the various things. He's connecting the pieces now, understanding that Catherine was the one that wrote the initial letter. I thought she had left him a message in the book. I had to be like, oh, I'm going to go see some tea. I know he's going to explore around a bit. He's going to find the message. No, he's now understanding. He's like, okay, she's the one who wrote the initial letter. Gotcha. On the notebook's cover, in the same neat manner, was written, Catherine Winters. But how? Why? He started feverishly flipping through other notebooks. It was all the same. Back then, during the break, I was sure the handwriting was different. I heard steps coming from the kitchen, got scared out of my mind. Sorry it took so long. I don't usually drink tea, and you aren't a big fan of coffee. What's the matter with you? Catherine asked, startled. Apparently I looked weird, putting it mildly. Nothing. Good thing I managed to put the notebooks back the way they had been. Are you sure? You look like you've just seen a ghost. She smiled and put the cup on the table. I couldn't force myself to pick it up, as I could feel my hands shaking. Suddenly I felt terrified of being in the same room with this girl. I was absolutely sure that that note wasn't a prank or a hoax. It said so on the letter. It would have been completely out of character for Catherine. If she had decided to write something like this, it was serious, whether it was a threat or a warning. Nikolai? Yeah, sorry, I just remembered. I've got some stuff to do. Katya looked at me carefully, but didn't say a word. Very urgent stuff. I need to... Even under other circumstances, I would have hardly been able to come up with something urgent to do, especially something I somehow forgot about. Catherine would never believe me, like she didn't believe now. You don't feel comfortable being here? She asked in a detached voice. Oh, damn it, now I feel bad for Catherine. Because she's not even thinking about that. She's thinking like, okay, we're just going to have a nice polite chat. I'll make him some tea. It'll be all good. And then she's like, yeah, I need to go. She's like, what? You don't feel comfortable around? Okay. No, don't say that. I just... Right when I finally decided to talk to you. Off you go. Katya finished coldly, nodding toward the exit. Yeah, thank you. I mean, bye. See you at school tomorrow. It took considerable effort not to break into a run.